Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to this month's session for the open house for our MSc program that's starting in September of 2023. We'd like to take this time where you can learn more about our program, specifically the student experience. And with us today, we have three of our alumni, Olga Ferraris, Audrey Bastanillo, and Victor Givanescu. Who have joined us, and to just have an open dialogue and discussion about the experiences in the program. And then later on, we will have our course leader, uh, Kendra Ford, joining us also to ask more specific questions about the curriculum and what to expect from the program, because this is more than just an online program, because especially with the advent of COVID, so many things are quote unquote online. And many of those online programs are non-interactive or asynchronous in full. Our program has a lot of interaction, a lot of embodied work. And many times that doesn't come across when you're just looking at the website. So I'd like to turn over and also like to introduce Francesca Hector, who is also one of our alumni, but also a staff member who works a lot in our community. If you join us, you will be, interacting with Fran almost daily. Feel free to put any questions you have in the chat window, and we'll go from there. Let me introduce Kendra. Kendra came in late, and maybe Kendra, you want to say a couple words as we get started.
Hi, welcome everybody. Lovely to see you all here. I know that some of you will also be watching the recording, so welcome to those of you who couldn't make it at this exact time. It's good to see you all here and interested in the MSc program. Let's just do we'll do a short grounding. It's sort of traditional within the Alef Trust, both when we have webinars and also when we meet, to just have a moment or two of grounding into the space together. So I'd like to invite us to do that today, just as we're getting started. And I have a little bit of a scratchy voice today, so forgive me. I don't usually sound this raspy online. But if it's comfortable for you, we'll just let the eyes close. If you prefer to keep the eyes open, you can just simply look down towards the floor, or maybe towards the table, depending on where you're sitting, and just let your gaze be broad, so you're not looking at anything in particular. And just take a couple of easy breaths, just in this sort of shifting of focus and awareness. And as you take these couple of breaths, just let the body kind of settle a little bit. Feel a softening in the shoulders. And notice those points of contact that your body has to the physical space in which you're sitting. So maybe the feet on the floor. Maybe you can feel the seat or whatever it is that you're sitting on underneath the backs of the legs. And some of you might even also be leaning up against something. So just noticing each of those points of contact that the body has to an object or a thing in your physical space. And see if on that next exhale, you can just kind of let the body soften into those meeting points a little bit more. So there's a relaxing into this moment. There's a relaxing into the presence of the body. And there's a connection into the support of your physical space. And then as you feel that kind of gentle settling at whatever rate that's happening for you, or wherever that is happening for you, whichever ways, let your awareness then shift more towards the inside of the body. Noticing what sensations are present there in this moment. And nothing needs to happen here. So this is really all just an invitation, and there's no right or wrong way to do this, right? So whatever you're noticing, let yourself trust that. And you might just kind of feel into in this moment, kind of, what is it that you're looking to understand more of in regard to this MSc? Why have you shown up today? What's perhaps the yearning or the interest or the hopes or the goals or the dreams that are present for you now? And it might be something that's really familiar, and it might be also something that is new. So if you can, just let your noticing be really open to whatever it is that's arising in this moment. And for some of you, there might be a lot of things popping. And for some of you, it might just be, one or two really specific things. And so again, there's no right or wrong way here. Nice. And as you let those bubblings, those curiosities, those hopes kind of remain present in your awareness. And as you maintain awareness of your physical body and your physical space, start to also feel into this virtual space. So you might just kind of, through your mind's eye, letting the eyes still be closed if they're closed, just kind of feel your way forward into this virtual space, into this virtual sort of circle, if you will, that we're sitting in this moment. And notice where that meeting point of your physical space and the virtual space is. Right. And I know this kind of, this is really sort of esoteric, if you will, to kind of feel into this, but just noticing kind of what that feels like for you. Some of you, it might feel really close. Some of you, it might feel a little bit more leaned in to the computer space or the screen space. So just noticing that meeting point of the physical and the virtual for you. Noticing that all of us are sitting within our own physical spaces, and yet there's a way in which we're connecting and we're meeting together in the same time and space, if you will, the virtual space. So there's a way in which we connect. Nice. And then just let your awareness kind of travel back into your physical space, coming back into noticing the breath again. And maybe just if the feet are on the ground, kind of feeling the feet again on the ground. And when you're ready, just letting the eyes open. And it can be helpful sometimes after that exercise to just kind of let your gaze travel a little bit around your physical space again, just to kind of reorient visually as well. Welcome. Thanks for sort of going on that little exploration together. Hopefully that offered some experience to you that hopefully was useful for today. I'd like to talk just a little bit about the MSc program, and then I'll hand it over to Fran, who will take us into the next segment for today. As Nick noted, my name is Kendra Ford, and I'm the academic program leader with Alef Trust. I'm also a tutor on the Learning Through Integrative Practice module, which happens in the first year, as well as in the Research Design module, which happens in year 2. And I also supervise students at the dissertation level who are conducting their final projects, their final research for the MSc. The MSc program in consciousness and spirituality and transpersonal psychology is a holistic program. It's based in transformative education, which really means that we invite you as a person, as a whole person, into the educational process. So we're not just asking for you to develop intellectual knowledge about the topics and the theories that we're working with, but we really invite you into the experiential of those theories and those transformative practices. And this primarily happens in year 1. And for many students, continues throughout the entire program as you continue to work with various different theories within these multiple fields of study that we work with. In year one, there's a module specifically oriented around personal program and practice development, the Learning Through Integrative Practice module that really invites in your own personal development and looking at the various domains that make up the whole organism and ways in which you can develop and cultivate and work with and support those various domains. This is a really highly experiential module. And within the module, we also ask you to look at, what are the theories that are informing your practices? How are you making sense of what it is that you're experiencing? So you can see that even when the module is more focused on personal experience, we're still inviting in that academic lens, where the other module that you start with in year one is sort of, it's the counterbalance, if you will, the approaches to consciousness module, which is much more highly intellectual, where you're learning a lot of, students end up learning a lot of new terms and concepts. You're grappling with some really complex theories. So it's, really drawing from the intellect and then inviting in the experiential. So we come from different angles depending on the module, the purpose of the module, and what we're focusing on within the modules. The Learning Through Integrative Practice module runs the entire first year, and the Approaches to Consciousness runs for the first semester. In the spring semester, which starts in February, there is spiritual psychology, which has a foundational module, but then you get to choose different options that you would like to participate in. And there's multiple different topics, mindfulness and meditation, shamanistic psychology. There's quite a broad range of options that are offered in that second module. So you kind of get to follow a little bit more of where your interests are, and then bring that together into the overarching module. When you enter into year two, that's where we start to kind of shift the focus. So you take all of that experiential work and knowledge that you've gained in year one, and you start to, you keep that, right, as much as you can. And you start to also shift towards developing your research skills. So because we know that in year three, you're going to be conducting your own individual dissertation project, we want to make sure that you have the skills and feel prepared in order to do so. So in year two, there's a year-long track, the research design, which provides you both with the theory and the experience of conducting some research. So what it's like to actually interview people, what is it like to actually go through and do data analysis, and you're getting support along the way. Alongside the research design module is transpersonal psychology, which focuses, of course, on transpersonal psychology, historical roots, what's happening in the current landscape of transpersonal psychology, what are the major theories and theorists, and what are the different ways in which it's interacting with different fields of study, so that interdisciplinary lens. That happens in the first half of the year, and in the second half of the year is similar to the first year in that there's a module called Applied Transformative Psychology, and again, you then get to choose from a variety of options that you can then focus in on something more specific, like multidimensional trauma or counseling and psychotherapy. So there's different, again, different options that you can focus on in that second module. Once you get into the third year, this is where you're then focusing on your research, whatever topic you've decided to take on and to focus on for your research study. You then take the entire third year to focus solely on that project. Now, some of you might be coming into the program with a really clear idea on, this is what I want to study. I've had these experiences. I've been doing this work. I know this is the topic that I want to focus on. I just maybe need to hone it a little bit more and kind of get really clear on what the question is or questions that I'm going to be asking. And you're going to, you'll take these first 2 years to really, dive into those literature bases to focus your assessments on that particular topic. And then when you get to the dissertation, you'll have a more sort of refined understanding of that topical area and how to approach it from a research standpoint. And for some of you, you might be coming into the program with, I don't know, I just am really interested in these broad topics of consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. And I'm not really sure what I want to focus my dissertation research on. And I'm going to use these modules and what I'm learning in each of, from these different theorists and theories to just kind of see where my interests are taking me. And then when I get, close to the third year, I'll then focus in on what it is that I want to study or research for my research projects. So, and then there's probably some of you that are somewhere in between. So wherever you are on the spectrum, it's okay. You don't have to come in here knowing exactly what you want to do. You can be completely open and just, take in all of the information, follow your interests, and, talk to your tutors, talk to your module tutors, help kind of guide your way into that final research project. So that's kind of the landscape of the MSc program, and a little bit of the pedagogical focus, meaning this transformative educational lens of how we invite in the experiential alongside the intellectual. I think the other thing that I'll say, and then I'm going to hand it over to Fran, is that while you're going through the 3 years of the MSc, you are assigned a personal tutor that you get at the beginning of the program. And the personal tutor is both available for you for one-on-one meetings as well as group meetings. So we schedule group meetings on an every other month basis. So every other month you would gather together with your personal tutor and all of the other folks, so those students, your cohort who are part of that same, who also are working with that same personal tutor. And you get to kind of talk about how's your journey, what's going on, what are some of the things that are challenging you, what are some of the things that are, really exciting you, and you can share each other's journey in that particular way. And it's a really rich way to both get support for, your journey in the program, as well as to, support your colleagues in, in their journey, and also make friendships. A lot of students, and I think, those who are here today might speak to this as well. A lot of students develop lifelong friendships, as a result of being in these groups. In addition to the personal tutor groups, we also have learning support, which is the skill development part of being in an academic program. So if you haven't been in academics for a while, or you've studied in different fields, there is learning programs or learning webinars that happen both that you can take over the summertime. There's a pre-recorded course on critical thinking that addresses basics of critical thinking, reading, writing, and research. So to just kind of refresh those skills or to gain those skills. And then during years 1 through 3, there are live webinars that are happening that are specifically focusing on the skills that you need to develop as a researcher, as a writer, as a scholar, as a thinker within these fields of consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. Additionally, there are well-being resources, because we've learned over the years of conducting this course that students who come into the program tend to have really full lives, right? Your lives are continuing to move as you're in the program, and also being in the program, brings up new information to work with and also to sometimes manage. So we have a well-being resource and coordinator who also conducts live webinars and talks. She conducts webinars such on like stress management, She, goes into various different ways in which you can navigate kind of the academic journey and also take care of yourself. And she's also available for one-on-one sessions as well. So in addition to kind of engaging you on an experiential and intellectual level, we also have these various different communities, circles of communities, and also support that are an inherent and interwoven part of the program. So I think with that, I'm going to hand it over to Fran for the next segment today.
Thank you, Kendra, for that lovely grounding meditation, coming into the space and showing us around the landscape of the MSc program. Yeah, certainly a lot to reflect on there. And thank you everybody for joining us today. As you can get a sense, the Alef Trust is very much a community, and community is at the heart of this learning journey. Community with the staff, with your peers, with the wider community as well, which includes alumni and students across other programs. If you're able to put your webcam on and you'd like to, that would be very welcome. And I'd like to hand over to our alumni, to Audrey, Victor, and Olga. You could each maybe take a minute or two just to share an insight, maybe one key insight into your journey with Alef Trust and how this has helped you move forward, like what you've done next. It's a question that we're often asked, like how do people use this MSc? And yeah. What has the learning journey been for you?
Well, I'll start just because awkward silences are not good for me. But it's something that Kendra said. Hi, I'm Olga. I'm a doctoral researcher with LGMU. Thanks to the MSc that I did with Alef Trust, that they really helped me grow intellectually and academically and professionally. And that is the beauty of what Kendra said. That emphasis in experiential education and the marriage of experiential education and intellectual enhancement of your I'm sorry, I am distracted because my puppies are coming in and out of the house, so I am not making much sense sometimes. Okay. Anyway, what I wanted to say was that the beauty for me of the MSc program is that the faculty team puts so much of themselves. The core faculty they put so much of themselves into helping us grow that the feedback that they keep providing, every time. I'm sorry, is that I'll show you where my puppies are and I'll tell you why this is so problematic. Is that they're gonna start barking any minute. So what I wanted to say was that Kendra here, for example, she graded a few of my papers, and I was always amazed at how careful the feedback was, because the constructive criticism that they provide with, which has to be very painstaking, to go through so many lines of people come from all over the world and at different levels of experience with academic writing, and to devote so much of their time and their attention to help us grow, to meet us where we are, and to really help us develop the skills that we need in order to move forward. And I hope that with Poppy and my distraction and my scattered brain, I still was able to put that together in a way that that makes sense. But so anyway, this is just to show you how you can be very scatterbrained and you can have your bits and pieces not all together and still come to a place when someone will be very generous at helping you gather yourself and find what you really want to say and put it in words that, building a solid argument in order so that whatever message you hear in this planet to share with others to help your community, can take off. And that is where I find myself right now. So thank you for your patience and for this, chopped up message to listen to the whole thing until the end.
Thanks, Olga. Audrey, would you like to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Olga, and thank you for sharing your experience with the puppies as well. Thank you. I think, yeah, you all kind of hinted at it so beautifully. The concept of learning to bring my whole self. So I've learned to bring my whole self in any situation. My whole self is my mind, my body, the connection with my spirituality, the connection with my environment, and the connection to the cosmos, if you will, in anything I do. And you have this kind of grounded, horizontal consideration of yourself, and I can bring myself wherever I go, alongside learning, yes, the academic language, an academic language that is filtered through the heart, as I like to say it. It's anchored in heart and feelings. But that enabled me to learn to speak with anyone, from the most inexperienced person, an outside person, to someone who works in research. So yeah, after my MSc, I continued to work in education. So I had the opportunity to lecture on topics of my dissertation, alongside working in the student support environment. But I think my next step is in research, medical research of all, and that is in my future. So daily, and I'm grateful from the bottom of my heart, and I'm grateful with my whole self to the Alef Trust and community every day. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Audrey and Olga. I do resonate with what both of you have already uttered. For me, it was a time of transition and of change in my life when joining the Alef Trust. I switched careers at a relatively young age from strategy consulting to something towards more consciousness-related transpersonal psychology. But I realized that although I had a lot of enthusiasm and personal practice and interests, to have such a framework, which is not just an academic framework where you can get to learn all the different theories and methods and also kind of apply them in terms of, as a most important module, the learning to integrative practice really touched me deeply, because again, it allowed me to focus on all aspects of myself and to develop them within also a more stricter academic setting, which was a great and transformative experience. And besides the academic part, there's also the community, because I don't know how you feel, but when I started this journey, I did know some people here and there, but not all that many who are into these things and who like to approach life more holistically, yet also academically grounded. And it also provided a global community. And talking about friendships with some of them, I mean, Audrey is here with her and two other of our colleagues. We do still do regular meetups every few months, and it all started as a meeting for a project together on the MSc, not knowing each other before. So all in all, it's a wonderful experience. It's both kind of academically rigorous, but also comes from a place of heart, with people that you work with that actually care more about you and about your well-being and journey. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell from me.
Well, thank you, Victor, Audrey, and Olga. Pass it over to you, Nick.
All right, this time we really welcome any questions or comments you have about the master's program. This is your opportunity to connect with staff, with alumni, get into getting your answers, directly, more deeply than just, reading the printed matter on the website or other things. So I'm more than happy to, type in your questions or raise your hand if you have anything specific. We'll wait for that. Just want to bring up, we are getting into the latter part of June, and this is just about the period where we do need to get the applications in. We usually keep the application period open at least until mid-August. However, we take in a fixed number of students every year. And then couple that with getting in reference letters and a couple things. Usually takes about 2 weeks or so to get a application fully put together before it goes for its formal review. So we're getting to that point, the very end of June, first part of July, where if you're really intent on the program, get your application in. I'll work with you the whole period from the time you get your application until the first day of orientation. Any questions you may have, I know the person who would have the answer to the question or get the form in whatever ways. We've had students from over 40 countries, so many times I have dealt with paperwork or trying to get equivalencies, to UK. I've had the experience with it. So please go ahead. You're all a quiet group today. Last time we did it, we went over, everybody was talking.
Hi, I'll ask a question. I just wanted to find out from Olga and Audrey, what did you come from relevant backgrounds? Did you come from backgrounds in counseling, therapy, psychology, or did you use this as an opportunity to pivot in your careers? And then to Victor, you mentioned that you came from Strat Consulting. What opportunities or which direction has the completion of this MSc led you towards? I'm asking because I come from a background that's completely unrelated as well, and just trying to get a better understanding of that.
Michelle, I was, well, I still am sometimes a lactation consultant. And so, yes, I have done some one-on-one and group, the facilitation of consulting, but counseling, but on about a very specific topic where you're really passing information, just evidence-based information and research to new models. But so this opened the scope for me of how I could help people finding what they really want, having a channel for their inner wisdom to come forward. It's just, it goes beyond counseling in other territories. I believe it's just that helping people bring together what they know unconsciously from what they are learning. You can see right now, I really always struggle to put myself in words. I am better in paper, but I don't have that chance here. But if you want to put something on the chat window, I will be able to answer better. But yeah, Audrey and Victor, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, so my background before starting the MSc, I was a holistic therapist, so physical therapist, energy therapist, Reiki therapies. So yes, I was in that territory, but I did not have a degree. I did not have an undergraduate degree, so not a BA or a BSc. So for me, it was very, very interesting, and I was very grateful to have the opportunity to come into the program, but equally I had to demonstrate an ability to write academically. So I had to learn that. Yeah, there was something else I wanted to say, and now I forgot. It's escaped. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, and in my case, since I did transition, it did give me the backbone, and especially kind of the inner confidence that I do have more knowledge about these fields, and that I can act professionally in them. So it helped me start my own personal development businesses, like side things that I'm doing. And also another great thing to mention is that Alef also started providing all sorts of opportunities for its alumni to collaborate with institutions like the Conscious Community Project and Nurturing the Fields of Change. So there was also the opportunity to get involved with Alef, and also for as a backbone to help me in my new personal development, like holistic integrative practice side quest. So I hope this gives a brief and efficient answer.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Michelle, I'd also like to add that the overwhelming majority of our students do come into the program without a bachelor's degree specifically in psychology. It's a very wide spectrum of careers and backgrounds, yet the common connection or tie is that each individual is able to see the holistic application point of view into their profession. So we've had people who've come from the business and corporate community, and in turn, they become consultants on that level. We have others who've come from yoga and martial arts. They're doing more of a physical expression of it. In many instances, it depends upon the student. And also from my experience over the years, is that the course is transformational. And quite a number of our students discover a new direction that they had never considered when they started the program, because they're tapping into this deep part of themselves. They're bringing that integration from within, and naturally then it gets expressed outwardly in the world. And sometimes it's amazing to see a few years down the road from our initial conversation when they were applying into the program to what they decide to do afterwards. There have been some remarkable transitions, some who've decided to just start a whole new career in another area. And that's fun to see that how the creative process comes up and opens up new possibilities for people.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Nick.
Okay. We have several questions in the chat window. I'll answer the first couple, and I think the other one I'll turn over to you, Kendra. From Karina, to answer your questions, yes. As we brought up, it's not necessary to have a bachelor's in psychology to apply into the MSc program. In fact, as I said, the overwhelming majority of our students, their academic work has been in other fields. However, there's been this, interest, it's a calling them to discover, to dig further. In the British system, there are no exams. It all goes to academic papers or projects, so you don't have to worry about that. And then for your third question, yes, virtually all of our students work. They have families. They're trying to juggle everything. We urge our students to devote on average 13 to 18 hours per week on their studies. A good amount of that time you can, work it around to what you need to do. Also, I like to add too that we're on a traditional academic calendar. So also know that you're off in the summer. Just to differentiate, I know a lot of online programs just go continuously for 7 years without a break. Here you will have that summer break, plus there's the break around the holidays. And let me turn, okay, and then Kendra, I'll turn the next one over to you about the outline, the structure, times, days to answer for Stephanie.
Sure. Regarding the outline of kind of when webinars are happening, how the structure of the course is happening throughout the week, most of the webinars happen between Monday and Thursday. And all of the webinars for the modules are delivered live. They're delivered usually sometime between 10 a.m. UK time to 8 p.m. UK time. So, which we usually don't have webinars kind of like in the 2 to 4 kind of hour, somewhere in that range. That usually, I don't usually see webinars during those hours. But they're usually in the morning or sometime in the evening or afternoon. This is for multiple reasons. Faculty live all over the world, and we also try to capture the various time zones that students come from all over the world. And the way it's designed currently is that, I can't remember off the top of my head, and it may change for next academic year, but approaches to consciousness, let's say if it's on Mondays, the webinars are on Mondays, it will always be on Mondays. So you can at least sort of count on like that module is going to be on a specific day. The learning webinars are going to happen on a specific day, and they're always going to happen on that specific day. So we do kind of we do set it up that particular way, even though the webinar times might shift and change a little bit, again, to capture the different time zones. As part of the program, you're not required to attend these webinars live because we recognize, you're working, you're in different time zones, et cetera, various different obligations. So we don't sort of tick a box like so-and-so, you were in attendance. All of the webinars are recorded. Of course, we encourage you to be there live if you can. If your schedule allows for it, you certainly get, you're there with sort of the live energy, you can ask questions, et cetera. But it's not a requirement to be there live. There are certain components of the program, like Nick alluded to, projects. When you're assigned a project in one of the modules, there are then seminar times that get designated, but the seminar times are that you're going to be presented are at times when you're awake and it's a normal hour for you. So you wouldn't be asked to present on something, in the middle of the night for your time zone. So that will be that's something that you work together with the module leader and the other students if you're doing a group project around that. Did that answer the question, Stephanie, for you? Okay.
Useful, thank you.
Excellent.
In answer to Jeremy, I can understand if you're running your own law firm, that's a lot to juggle. Nonetheless, we have had students who've had demanding careers, some who travel internationally, and sometimes just to juggle the change in time zones that they've notified us, and it is doable. As we brought up, there is some flexibility as to your studying times, your reading, your interaction on the forums. As long as you make the due dates, you can align that to your schedule. Ultimately, it's about finding that balance, study habits, and so on. Keeping a schedule. We, as Kendra brought up earlier, we do have that support system in place. We do have a well-being officer who can work with you. I believe, are there regular webinars? She does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the well-being coordinator, she offers regular webinars throughout the entire academic journey, and she's also available for one-on-one. So, if you are finding that you're needing some support around navigating a schedule or how to manage, the work challenges with the demands of the program, or the projects and assessments of the program, she's available to meet one-on-one to strategize. Okay, let's look at your schedule. Where can you schedule in study time? Where does that work best for you? And to kind of go through, she'll ask a series of questions. She's trained in transpersonal coaching, so she has a way and a format of sort of drawing out what is going to be the most supportive for you in the journey, and what is going to be the most supportive for you in whatever challenge you're navigating at that particular time. But I'm wondering too, maybe one of the alumni may want to answer this question too, around, what was it like for you to navigate, your studies alongside working? What that was like, and if you drew on the support of the community, and how that was for you.
Yeah, I was typing in the chat, but easier to talk. Yes, for the first 2 years, I was also self-employed, and I could manage it very well. And in fact, part of the program, like Endo said, is also really learning to up the game in your self-care, and really learning a lot of strategies for that, alongside all the well-being webinars and everything, and assistance that you have. Personally, in the third year, it was a little bit more tricky for me, because I had a very demanding job, working very long hours. So it took a little bit more of an effort, but again, the support was there definitely, and I have managed to complete. And it's also very, very individual, I think, because different people have different energy through the year. So yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Jeremy, something else I'd like to add that would be to your advantage. We've had other attorneys on the program, and something that you all do as your profession is deep research. You have a leg up ahead of many of our students coming in who find that the most daunting part of going for a master's degree. So I think that part of the learning curve you've already mastered, and how to organize, how to put together a thesis and argument, because that is the basis of your profession. So I hope we've helped answer that question for you. Now let me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's
Okay.
another question in the chat from Evelyn asking about work roles typical after the MSc, and I think we've answered that in the chat and heard from Audrey, Victor, and Olga already. So unless there's any specific follow-up to that.
I just need to add what I had mentioned before. There's an immense creative process when you go through this program, and frequently it is hard to predict what the student ends up doing from when they start. It's not that you're just going in, let's say if you did a program to be an accountant, and you know exactly that's what you're going to do. Also, about half our students have some kind of existing business or profession where they're somehow applying it. And I've noticed over the years how they expand upon it. That's something they've read or one of the modules they've taken, and in the process of that studying and research and writing, they've gone far deeper. Additionally, many of them can then use their master's thesis as that vehicle to take them into their profession. So I've seen quite a number of them. It's like killing two birds with one stone. Whereas, yes, you have to fulfill the requirements for the master's degree and writing the dissertation, but you're also doing original research. So when they go out there and work with clients, it's not that they're basing what they do on somebody else. It's a very, it's much more professional that here's something you've done, you've created, and to bring in clientele.
Yeah, just to provide some further flavor to what Nick was saying, in my case, I did my dissertation on the transformative effects and integration challenges of psychedelic experiences. And I do work in psychedelic integration now and also in integrative practice. So yeah, there is a correlation. I mean, because it's transformative, it gives you the time to see what you want to do. So if you don't have something that's already crystallized and you know, okay, I'm going to use this as a further resource to do the following. But if you don't have that, it allows you to really see what your passion is, what you want to do, and then find ways to kind of get into the game.
One example came to mind. This was a student of ours about 8 or 10 years ago. She was a kindergarten and primary school teacher who was autistic. And she wanted to come on our program to bring a more holistic viewpoint when working with autistic children. So after she completed her master's with us, she continued being a teacher, but she brought in this holistic spiritual perspective of working with children who have certain forms of disability. So she created a niche for herself. She's a teacher in London. So that's something that she brought from herself, her own life experience. We've had several other students similarly, where they've had certain life experiences that they wish to integrate to create some, a track or process with other people.
I think the only thing I want to just sort of add on that, Nick, in a sort of really broad way, and I know that you probably want to leave a few minutes for questions around application, is that in the program there is plenty of space for you to follow your passion. So, if you are thinking about enhancing your career or shifting into something new, and you think that the idea that you have is wild and crazy, let it be a little wild and crazy, and talk to your tutors, talk to your colleagues. And if you come into the program, you have the spaces to have those conversations to help that wild and crazy idea come into crystallization, and then to have the support and the academic, as it's already been spoken to, to be able to identify, then how can I take this wild and crazy idea about something that I want to do or implement or bring into the world, formalize it in a way that I can communicate it in different environments, and then do some research on it to give some validity to what it is that I, have thought about or have noticed, or whatever it might be, or wherever that idea came from. So, there's space within the program for you to really follow your passion and to create that path for yourself too, if it's not a pathway that's already established. So, I think that's where you really can, there's that spectrum. If you want to follow established path, that's also fine too, but you can also bring in something completely new and use the tools and the resources and the learning from the MSc to, to make it something that is doable, is graspable, and something that you can communicate to other people.
Quite true, Kendra. Make it your laboratory. This is one benefit where academic discipline can get you to focus on some of your dreams, thoughts, and ideas, and you come out the better for it on the other end of it. So we are coming to the top of the hour. So if there are any questions, by all means, please bring it up now. But as we brought up, we are really in the middle of the application period, and it's coming to the time where we do need to get applications in. So as I mentioned, I'm here as a resource to work with you. By all means, get in touch with me. I will work with you along the way. Don't feel shy about questions. Usually with the majority of our applicants, I'm in dialogue with them. Many of them, we've had one-on-one conversations on Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp. So by all means, dialogue. If you have any questions, the link has been given to you if you've already inquired with us. That's the application page, and all the FAQs, resources are on that page. However, sometimes some good questions still come up. Contact me, and we'll be happy to work with you. Anyone else? Okay, so I think
It looks like Maureen. I saw Maureen
Hi.
wave her hand.
Thanks. I
Oh.
was just wondering, just with respect to doing the personal statement, I'm kind of getting caught between the journey to get here, because I'm no spring chicken. We have to get it done in 750 words. And then what I believe I can, what I can get out of the master's. So should there be more of an emphasis on my personal journey as to what is compelling or propelling me in this direction? Or should it be more focused on, all of the wonderful benefits of actually doing this particular master's? So I've redone it about 4 times.
Maureen, I'll tell you both. One, something I've watched over the years, each of you have a unique story. Every time I've met and have spoken to, at this point in time, I don't even, hundreds of people, each of you had this kind of cool story how you got here. By all means, share it. That's your journey. But it's also to show, why do you want to come into the program? What do you think you're going to get out to? What attracted you to it? So at least, show the whole spectrum,
Sure.
your journey and where you think you're going.
And are we restricted to 750 words?
Yes. That's part of the academic discipline.
Okay.
You don't get extra points for making it 2,000
okay.
words.
I'm Irish. We talk a lot. It's hard to come back to it. Thanks.
No, it's
you.
quite all right. Quite all right. Everybody, that's one of the key questions that comes up a lot of times, is
Thank
about
you.
the person. But speak from your heart. I'll tell everyone, this is an academic program, but speak from your heart. That's where this is ignited from. That's that part within you that we're looking to bring up and out from
Brilliant.
you. And we found those are the most successful students who have that connection.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's anybody.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, by all means.
Yes. So I saw the specialist options in the first year curriculum, and I'm torn between certain modules, certain options. I was wondering if I should I be accepted for this course, of course. Should I go for the ones where I'm familiar with, or ones where I have an interest in, would like to get into in the future? But at the same time, I'm not so sure, if I would do well, in the specialist option that I do choose, I mean, I have an interest, but I'm not sure, I would stick with it in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I get it. Usually we get the question, everyone wants to take like all 6 or 7 of them. What can they do? This one, you want to, again, it's a personal choice. Generally, I would suggest you would choose options that would align with your professional ambitions. You could always come back. A number of our master students do come back and take the remaining options as open learners. So don't fret that you're going to miss out on anything. There's plenty of time to come back, and many of our alumni stick around. They don't want to leave. The rest could be up to you, your situation concerning your workload. If you think an option is interesting, but it would be a stretch for you, and you need to figure out that work-life balance. So in the end, something I suggest also everyone when they're doing their application, I say sleep on it. Even if you're all gung-ho with it, you have to answer from within. And you don't have to make your decision today for the options. You have towards the end of fall. Go ahead, Kendra.
That's all I was going to say is that, yeah, you can go in with an open mind around the options, into the program, and you can have a conversation with your colleagues and personal tutor, and I think after being in the program for, a couple months, you also have a better sense of maybe what direction to choose for the options, but you don't have to choose those until around December time. So there's some space for making that decision.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to follow up on what Kendra said, by that point, you'll be deep into reading for approaches to consciousness. There's going to be a number of authors and other things you'll be exposed to, and sometimes something sparks your imagination. And where you could have come in September and saying, I'm going to take this one and this one, now you look like, oh, this is more of interest to me. So I'd say keep open at this point in time and then see where it takes you from there.
I have a follow-up question, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, do you have to be practicing certain modalities to do the specialist option? Like, for example, be engaged in lucid dreaming practices or shamanic practices to take these modules?
No.
No.
No. However, this goes off on a tangent. I'll let Kendra take it, is explaining learning through integrative practice, because that kind of touches upon your question in a sideways.
Yeah, we don't require that students come into the program having any sort of competency in a particular modality. Even in the learning and integrative practice, as you're looking at different practices to integrate, it can be, we actually encourage for you to engage in something that's completely new. Maybe it's something you've had an interest in, and then, the program, the module then has that structure for you to say, I can take time now to go focus on this modality or this thing that I've been wanting to do that's going to help cultivate, my spirituality or help cultivate my emotional understanding of self. And it's part of my MSc. Right. So I think that's how students often look at it, as like, oh, I can actually, I don't have to feel guilty about now learning this whole new modality for, cultivating myself. So yeah, there's no requirement for any of the option modules that I know of that you be versed in the actual topic of exploration. I mean, I think that's really what the options are about, is about introducing you to those topics and to those theories, whatever the focus is for that particular option. Yeah, I know we're a few minutes over, Nick, but there is one question that maybe you want to answer that you've seen from Vandana around the MSc or open programs. Okay.
Sure. Vandana, my suggestion is, this is a question I learned many years ago to ask, what is your ultimate goal? Once you have that defined, it's very clear to see the educational pathway necessary to fulfill that goal. So just think on that. If you want to, start a dialogue with that later on, by all means, get in touch with me. Some of the things you may consider are you looking to do this professionally? Is this, sometimes people are doing this from something pulling within themselves because of an experience they have. So, there's a lot of options that we couldn't get into it, in this session. And then there's times we've had people where they just come in as an open learner, specifically on our open learning courses in February, just to get a sense of what we're about. And then they transition over into the MSc the following September. So I hope that at least gives you a basic. I know I didn't fully answer your question, but again, just define what your ultimate goal is, and then the path forward will be clear. Okay, most of the rest of our team needed to go, and yeah, we went past the top of the hour. Now everyone got talkative at the end. But again, thank you everybody for attending today. I hope that we have helped clarify parts of the master's program. And again, if you have any questions, please contact me. And by contacting me, I can put you into contact with the other members of the team who were here today or other members within the Alef Trust. So thank you again for attending.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.